What's going on, guys? Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Real Red Stock, the authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. Maguire ain't leaving until he gets his 10 million, bitch. At least that's what he's just said to United. Anyway, we're going to discuss that. Obviously, lots of talking points. Fans quite divided. I say divided, it's probably just me in the pool, but I will give my opinion very, very shortly. We want to talk about Amrabat as well. There's a little bit of a delay going on with that. Donny still hasn't moved on, so we'll certainly discuss that. And then Dean Henderson set to stay at Manchester United with Tom Heaton getting an injury. Nottingham Forest not really negotiating with that obligation to buy things, so it's getting a little bit sticky in situations for Manchester United. We've also got Shreyas alongside me, who's 9 hours away on a plane in India. How are we doing?
Yeah, doing fairly well. Once again, not hearing any positive news coming out of the club, and it's pretty much been a week that things have been dull, and I think it is just going to get duller and duller till the time this Amrabat move actually gets pulled off. Because after that, it is anyone's game as to what we'll be doing in the transfer window, if we'll be actually doing something in the transfer window or not.
Yeah, so positive vibes from Shreyas there, as always. Let's see how the guys are feeling in the guys and ladies and gentlemen, sorry, in the chat. Don't just want to, single out one gender. Everybody, how are you feeling in the chat? Let me know, and we'll read your comments out as we go through the topics on the table. Make sure you leave a like on the video for us if you can as well. Subscribe to the channel. Right. Harry Maguire, Shreyas, apparently he wants £7 million to leave United, as he would be on less money at West Ham, who have grown frustrated over the delay and are looking at basically give up their interest in Maguire. As it stands right now, it collapsed after West Ham grew tired of waiting for him to agree his exit from Manchester United. Simon Stone tweeted as well saying West Ham have received no word back from Harry Maguire about when the deal can be completed, even though it had been felt that he was willing to make the move to them. It's possible the deal with West Ham for Harry Maguire could be revived, but at the moment it's regarded as stalled and pretty much done. And David Moyes is already looking at alternatives. Now, the question is, and this is for you, and this is for everyone who's watching live or watching later on, would you take that pay cut in that situation? And why?
I think once again, there are two sides to it. One, what does Maguire want from his career? Like at this point, what does he want from his career? Does he want first team football and get regular starting minutes and play at a club where he wouldn't be getting the amount of pay that he does at Manchester United, or he's happy to be a bench warmer, probably not even on the bench sometimes, and enjoy getting 190,000 or 200 grand a week every single week. And once again, the biggest problem about all this is the way we negotiated Maguire's contract was an absolute mess. The way we were able to provide the player with certain liberty and authorities was not required at the time, and the people who were in charge shouldn't have done that. Which once again has made us difficult, not only with Maguire but some other players as well who we really really want to move on. We just can't do that because the kind of wages and the kind of things that we've offered in contracts to our players, none of the other clubs would offer them, especially the kind of clubs that would come in for these players. For example, West Ham, and that is why there is a big issue right now. Uh, Personally, I would, because once again, I think Maguire does want to play regularly for the national team, and it has been said that Gareth Southgate has communicated it with the player that if he doesn't get regular minutes and first team football, he would be dropped from the team. And once again, England do have options to play in those centre back spots right now, and some really really decent players. If he wants to retain his spot in the national team, then yes, he should make the move. If he isn't that fussed about that and is okay being a squad player, he really doesn't need to move from Manchester United then, because right now he has the power of moving or not moving.
Yeah. Before I make my point on this, and I agree with a lot of things you said there, I want to say, first and foremost, I want Maguire to leave the club. I would happily take the £30 million. Obviously, it's just we spoke about him that much. He just doesn't suit the system. He needs to go regenerate his career, and he'll probably keep his place for England. Having said that, right, I was thinking about this before, and obviously was going back and forth in the WhatsApp. Yeah, if I'm working at a restaurant, let's say, I don't know, I can't even think of a nice place, but let's just say I work at a nice restaurant, right, and I've fucked a couple of meals up. Yeah. But I've got a contract at that workplace for the next 2-3 years, and I know I can get guaranteed money.
Yeah.
If I stay there. Now they're saying, oh well, there's a job at McDonald's there for you. you'll be on less money, but you'll be the main chef, and you'll be cooking the food. And like, oh, how much is that an hour? £10 an hour. Well, I'm on £30 an hour here. I'm on triple what I'm on there, and I've still got 2 years left. So, are you going to pay the difference? And they're like, no. Well, why would I move then? That's why I'm seeing it from a financial perspective. If everybody wants to sit there and say, oh, I'd take it, whatever. Listen, £7 million is on the table in front of you, and you would not just sit there and go, oh, don't fucking worry about that, mate. I'll pack my boots now,
and
I'll get my shirt and my shorts, and I'll piss off. It's not realistic. I think
this is
honestly,
the very reason. This is the very reason why we haven't been able to get Frankie De Jong last season, because he didn't get his deferred wages from Barcelona. Exactly.
And that's such a good point, because I remember last year where everyone was like, I do that. Everyone was behind Frankie De Jong saying, I definitely do that. Like, obviously he wants to stay for his money. But now it's Harry Maguire. It's like, no, piss off. Like, he needs to have more about him. And look, like I said, I get both sides of it. I understand that, to better his career, he should go. But that doesn't get rid of the financial. He won't give a shit about that. He'll just be a lot of money you're talking about there, like £7 to £10 million are the reported fee. So let's just see what people say in the comments, because I'm going to end up losing my mind. Donny van de Beek, Maguire, I don't need you. You can go. Okay. Manchester United pay Harry Maguire £7 million and go. Your place in the Cosmos. If he was worth the 200k, he'd be staying. He ain't leaving because he wants to. More than we want rid. Pay £7 million just to get rid. Toxicity will follow. Otherwise. We need a calm squad. There's still work to do. Out of pride, I'd take the cut. Not like I've already a millionaire. If there was odds, can't blame him for wanting to pay off though. But Christ, 5 million would do it. But as football millionaire, just settle for 5 and go. I think the other thing that I read as well was I think there's only like £1 million difference in what United were offering. And again, I say that only £1 million. It's still £1 million.
Yeah.
It's different. I think apparently United offer 5 or 6, but like he wants 7, which is the remaining of his contract. And then you think about the fee that we get for him. He's just discussing it again off camera. £30 million. You take that off taxes and stuff. You're getting like probably just under £20 million for a player you bought for £80 million 2 years ago. So it looks so bad.
I think another reason as to why this is actually being a very sensitive topic once again, it is West Ham that came in for Harry Maguire. If it was a more reputable club, if it would have been a club that it carries a brand.
Oh well, say West Ham are in Europa League, aren't they? To be fair,
they are in Europa League, but
like
one
a Villa,
that carries a brand, like Milan, the likes of the top 6 clubs. I would even at this point, I would even say if a club like Tottenham came in for Harry Maguire, I think he would have moved. Exactly, he would have moved. Because these clubs
played in the final.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So
Mkhitaryan, Darmian, these sort of players play for them in the final. And I think if these sort of clubs came in, then Maguire would have moved. The reason being that these clubs have a much greater history. They are, they carry a much greater brand alongside them. That players of these clubs are recognized more in comparison to other clubs. West Ham doesn't carry that image. They won the Conference League. It's a big thing in their history. But you cannot compare them to Manchester United. And that is, I think, what Harry Maguire is seeing. That if I'm taking a step down, it is going to be a massive step down. Whether these guys are even going to be able to compete, whether these guys are even going to be around the first top half, that is not even a certainty right now. So I think from his perspective, he's actually even taking a safety step, because he knows even if I stay at United and I don't play, the way Ten Hag is building, probably I'll be able to get another trophy. Probably I'll be able to make it to the top 4 again. If I move to West Ham, will I be able to win another trophy? Will I be able to compete in the top 6 spots when it comes to European football? Does it help me elevate my career? No. So I think that is the reason why this thing is taking so long. But like you mentioned, if Inter Milan, AC Milan, or these sort of clubs came in, he would have moved by now.
Much more likely to move, to be honest. And he probably would have offered a little bit more. West Ham haven't got we know financially. We saw that thing that they put out saying they wanted to buy every player for £20 million. They've obviously got Ward-Prowse for 25. They've got Edson Alvarez for 30, I think. So they're obviously working on a budget. But this is a stumbling block. Who's it on now, Shreyas, to push this? Do United just say, right, we'll pay the extra $1 million, do you think? Or do you think Maguire himself should take it upon himself?
The only way this will proceed is if Maguire takes it upon himself, because the Glazers won't pay a player 7 million
Oh yeah,
just for him to move to another club, just for him
yeah.
to get out of the club. They won't pay him a difference of 7 million, even a million, or even 500,000 pounds for that matter. They won't pay that sort of
Even
money.
10p, mate. Like
Yeah,
Greenwood. That's the reason why Greenwood will be
exactly.
staying, because they don't want to pay him off.
If we
Yeah,
probably would have had a, some different kind of ownership taken over by now, maybe things would have
yeah,
rolled in a different order. But now,
yeah.
because that has not happened, and the Glazers, they still have control over the club, I don't see them paying off Maguire just to leave the club. I really don't see it happening. Not today, not
Mm.
later into this week. No matter what happens, they're not going to pay him off.
I think people are confusing the element of wanting Maguire out and understanding the financial thing behind it. Like, I want Maguire to go. He needs to
Yeah,
go. Like, yeah, it needs to happen. I want Pavard in. I want it to Debo in. Someone like that. If he doesn't go, none of them come in.
yeah,
So obviously, I want him to go. And the kind of thing inside me is saying, like, just piss off. Just take it.
yeah.
Just take the pay cut. But logically, I understand it. I really, really do. But people are going to have different opinions on it, and that's absolutely fine. That's what football is all about. So we'll keep an eye on developments on Harry Maguire, because we've had an update every hour today regarding that situation. Maybe in some universe or planet it gets resolved, but I don't know. I've always had this feeling that with how slow that deal was going, I've just always had this natural feeling that I just don't think he's going to go. I just think he's going to stay. Same thing with Scott McTominay. I think Scott McTominay is going to stay for this season,
Yeah.
as well. But that's worrying, because we watching the game last night. I mean, this leads perfectly onto the Amrabat story, Shreyas. So there's been back and forth. I've seen some people reporting United want to complete the Amrabat deal in the next few days. The transfer will happen, but United are waiting to confirm the Donny van der Beek sale. But then Donny's still ongoing. I don't know what's going on with that. After watching the game last night, Shreyas,
Yeah.
do we need to push this deal quicker now? Just get it over. Just get it done. Do you think?
We definitely do, because once again, last night was a very lucky game for us. We were very lucky to come across with 3 points. Once again, Wolves were really unlucky against us when it came to finishing off their chances. Uh, we were not clinical enough. We didn't look sharp. We were getting overrun in the midfield. There were lots of spaces in behind for them to actually run into, and they were able to counter us very perfectly. And when it came to the attacking third, we just didn't have that edge. We didn't have that intelligence to, work around the opposition box, which is once again a major concern. And the biggest concern of them all is that the midfield didn't work. Like, genuinely, it didn't work. Um,
Yeah.
and once again, getting someone like Amrabat in, like, if you deploy someone like Amrabat in, in last night's game, once again, like you mentioned, he's a technical bully. He would have been able to, concentrate the midfield altogether, integrate the midfield around him, probably provide more shape to it. Once again, the defensive sturdiness would have been there. So yes, I think once again, we do need options in that midfield. Ericsson came on last night. I think he did considerably well when he came on.
It was all right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so, and I think that's the role that he'll be actually fitting in, this season. Someone to come off the bench and provide you with that sort of professionalism. And I think he can do
Yeah.
that job really well. But, Ericsson, he offers us something different. Amrabat is a completely different player, and I think what he would bring would be something that is right now going to prove much more useful in comparison to what Ericsson is going to bring off from the bench. So,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
I think, yes, United do need to fast track this deal. Uh, Another doubt that I really, really have is, what does the term sale of Donny van de Beek mean when we are actually, going to send him out on loan? Like,
Yeah.
in
I
what
think
category is
it's
it a sale?
a wage gap in it. I think that's what they're probably
Yeah,
looking at, like a slot onto that. So if Donny goes, we can then offer Amrabat I don't know how much Donny is on. I'm guessing. I know Amrabat. We said like we'd give him like 75k a week on it. So I'm guessing Donny's on about 75 to 100k,
yeah,
something like that. So if he goes off, then that void can be filled, and then the money from Fred can be used towards transfer. Maybe I'm not sure how it works. Again, logistically or financially, but that's how I imagine it works. Now I've. Most of today I've been editing a video that I'm going to drop tonight, and it's 5 lessons learned from the game yesterday, and the midfield is one of the talking points. So I don't want to go into it too much, but there was such a disconnect in that midfield yesterday, like the gap. I mean, I see a lot of people kind of grilling Casemiro, and it's like, look at the gaps he had to fill in that midfield. Like, he was getting all run by
I think genuinely,
Acuna
yeah. I think genuinely
and
last night,
Sarabia as well.
I think it was the first time that I would have said that it was beyond Casemiro's control as to what was happening on that
Yeah,
pitch. Like he was,
way too much ground to cover.
exactly. And the reason for what we actually got Mount in, I think it is going to take some time for these three to actually settle in quite well together. Once again,
Yeah.
people need to realize Mount is a completely fresh signing. They definitely, he's been playing on preseason, but the Premier League is completely different to how teams play during preseason.
Yeah.
It is going to take some time for these guys to settle in and work across each other because Casemiro is more used to playing alongside a Fred or an Eriksen. Mount is a completely
Mhm.
different personality to both of them. So I think it will still work. I think Mount will still be able to, make his mark in this team,
I agree.
but it will take some time. It
Yeah.
takes some time for new players to fit in, and once again into a completely different system. Last night, I think Casemiro did what he could. Um, I think one of the biggest factors as to why Casemiro looked really really poor yesterday was because the back four actually the back, especially Lisandro Martinez, he was just not able to provide him with that type of shielding that he usually is able to provide him with. Like, you can see
Yeah.
Lisandro making that aggressive tackles, providing the ball to Casemiro, and Casemiro is able to spring the ball forward. So
Mm.
that, I don't know what happened, but Lisandro probably had one of his, I would say, poor games in a United shirt last night, and
Oh,
probably
it's bad. Yeah.
yeah, and that was probably another reason as to why you couldn't see Casemiro perform the way he usually does. But you just need to give it some time. You need to be patient. It is once again, it's a miracle that we actually came off that night, with a win, with the 3 points. Like
Yeah. Lucky as fuck.
exactly, we
Really,
didn't
really
lose,
lucky.
we didn't nick a draw. We got 3 points,
Yeah.
which is a big, big achievement yesterday. And slowly and steadily, I think this team will be able to manage itself. I think the next couple of games will be a bit rough. It won't be flashy football, but I think by the time the Arsenal fixture comes here, I think that's when we'll be completely in full flow and integration.
Yeah, well, we're certainly hoping so anyway, because you can't go into the season with them performances that you're putting
Yeah.
against Wolves last night. It's ridiculous. Nick Knack with the comment of the day saying, lesson one, VAR will bail us out. Again, I feel like I'm in the minority with three things today and yesterday. One, I feel like Mason Mount's becoming a scapegoat because Maguire's pissing off, David De Gea's pissing off. I feel like Mason Mount's being targeted a little bit. I don't think he was as bad as Bruno Fernandes. Yes, I
No,
really
no,
don't
no,
think
no,
he was
no,
bad
no,
as Bruno Fernandes.
no, no.
Bruno was poor yesterday, right? Mount wasn't amazing by any stretch of the imagination. I thought he was just average. Did some things good, did some things bad. And I've watched the game back again. I still have that same opinion. But something is categorically wrong with it needs tweaking. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger. Well, I know what it is. It's they're not connected in the midfield.
Yeah.
The distance is so far apart. They're not compact at all. And Wolves, they must have just seen it. Gary O'Neill must have looked at that and thought, that is going to be an issue for them. We can target that. As soon as Cunha and Sarabia got into that central, they murdered us. Absolutely. And the ball carrying as well. As soon as they got on it, straight up the other end of the pitch, just killing us on the transition. So I don't know what he's going to do to alter that, but I think it'd be interesting to see in the next game when we play Tottenham on Saturday.
And I don't think we need to be as. I think I don't. And once again, we don't need to be as scared about it as people are being, because you can expect a lot of changes being made in our next fixture. Like it won't be that we'll be playing the same way. You'll be seeing the same mistakes because Ten Hag makes a lot of tweaks. Like after last night's game, I think the first thing that Ten Hag would the moment that match ended was, I need to fix this right away for the next fixture. And I think once again you'll be seeing a lot of changes. You'll be seeing maybe a lot of tweaks being made into this team, and perhaps a better performance. And I think under Ten Hag, what I've seen regularly is the mistakes that we make in one game, they are not repeated in the next game. Like he works on that, he's able to eliminate most of them. Like last season, the game that we had against Southampton, you could see Diogo Dalot was being overexposed on the back post. Like every single time, they were just completely targeting that back post on the side of Diogo Dalot. Next game that we had, Diego Dallo had that area completely covered, and you could see Varane and Martinez actually, targeting that back post as well. So he works on the mistakes. He is able to, work things out in this team. So no need to be as scared as possible. You need to remember once again that this game on any other day we probably could have lost. We still managed to, take in 3 points. That's a big thing. So give it some time. It will come, come to fruification. Mount, Bruno, Casemiro, they're good midfielders. They can do it.
Yeah, I've always thought that they will. That it's just, again, brand new player, innit? Mason Mount's just coming into the midfield, getting used to it. Wolves was probably be a bit of a surprise because, again, manager bounce, didn't know what to expect from the manager. Completely different team as to how they were with Lopetegui.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, Kobe Mainu will be interesting when he gets back because you could see Ten Hag was pushing him in pre-season. He looked like he was potentially going to even a couple of starts. Maybe in games like that, you can bring in a Casemiro or Mainu alongside each other with Bruno ahead of him. Maybe move him out to the wing or Bruno out to the wing and do it like that. Because let's be clear, Alejandro Garnacho had the worst game of his life yesterday. He was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Yes, he's young. He's going to learn from it. It'll be education for him. But he was bad. He was really, really bad yesterday.
Yeah, once again.
So you have in a case like that, that's what I would have done. I would have moved Mount out to the left, because he was playing all right. Take Garnacho off, put Eriksen in the midfield, whoever. That's the way I would have gone about it.
Once again, he's a youngster. You have to expect these sort of performances, probably some dips in certain fixtures from them. And at this age, the best of the players at this age, they've had some stinkers. So he's going to learn from it. I think once again he's going to bounce back. Last season, I think he had a similar sort of performance against Leeds at home. I think it was that, and in the return fixture he scored against them. So once again, Garnacho, I think he had a very, very tough outing last night, but I think he'll find his way back into the team. And I think last season as well, it happened on a lot of occasions that Bruno was shifted to the right, Eriksen was being played in the 10, and Casemiro and Fred were the two pivots. So with Mount coming in, probably, we could be seeing both Bruno and Mount on the wings at certain occasions, because right now, that front three looks very, very vulnerable. Like, even if you take out Garnacho and you put Rashford on the left, Antony on the right, and Højlund up top, the front three right now looks very, very off. And I think the reason for it is that Rashford isn't scoring goals right now. The moment Rashford doesn't score, we don't score.
Exactly. But I've done a much deeper analysis. The video I did this morning, which should be uploaded tonight about 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. 5 lessons learned from the game yesterday. I talk about Rashford as a 9. I talk about the midfield situation. Talk about Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Onana's debut as well. So make sure you do check that out when we drop it later on tonight. I'll read out a couple of comments. Dino Lewis says, I'd take a CDM and a striker and not bothered in replacing Maguire. I mean, I suppose you could probably get away with that. You could maybe bring Johnny Evans in as that kind of replacement. But then if we have a big injury, if Lissandro gets injured again and you have to bring in a Lindelof and Johnny Evans, it's a little bit risky, especially if you've got important games towards the end of the season, innit?
Lindelof and Johnny Evans.
That, do I need to say any more? I don't think I do. Ryan's saying we need Amrabat and arguably Onana from Everton for those type of games. Agree. Nick Knack says Maguire doesn't need replacing. If he was part of the team, he wouldn't be on the market. Your place of the Cosmos says didn't see it, but sounds like Mount and Bruno pushed up way too hard. Yeah. It was just a complete disconnection. It was like almost the reverse of what it was like under Ole, where McFred would sit right in front of the defence, and then Bruno was like the other side of the planet. Like there was just a huge gap.
We had two stagnant bodies under Ole, and for the first time last night, you could see two midfielders were just pushed forward, like occupying every single space.
Someone screenshotted a bit, and obviously screenshots can kind of look a little bit manipulated or whatever. But there was a screenshot where there was just 3 defenders on the halfway line, and the rest were basically on the edge of the 18-yard box, and it was just this huge gap between them. And you're like, fucking hell, like I don't know what it is. Also, I said to Sam on the review after the game, I don't know if you feel the same way. It looked like we hadn't had a pre-season. In comparison to Wolves. Like, Wolves looked really fit, didn't they? Fit, physical, like pace set up for it. We looked knackered, man, within the first half an hour. I didn't understand that.
Once again, it was shades of last season's first game. If you closely examine last season's first game as well, it looked like our physical capability and our health and fitness were just not there. Like the other team was over prepared in comparison to us, and that was something that was highlighted in yesterday's fixture as well. That we were. Once again, definitely there were issues in the midfield. There were spaces being left behind. There was no shape to the back line as well. But Wolves were able to overpower us in a lot of situations. Especially, when they're in their on the ball and off the ball movement, they were actually able to overpower us, which is something that you would not expect with the kind of manager they have, with the kind of problems that are surrounding Wolves right now. You would expect to beat that sort of a team 3 or 4-0 on any given day. But they were actually able to give us a big scare, and I think I'm actually kind of glad that the first game was against Wolves, because if it would have been against any other team in the league, we probably could have got like 3 or 4 past us in the first fixture itself.
Yeah. Wolves have always notoriously struggled with scoring goals, so it was lucky it was Wolves, because if that's Haaland on the other end of them chances, dear me.
I would argue even if it was a team like a Brighton up ahead of
Welbeck, whoever,
they
at least would have had a couple of goals. I think they had the most shots at Old Trafford since 2005 for a team visiting. Like, no way near good enough. Ten Hag will know that. He'll drill him, and I'm sure there'll be changes. I'm pretty sure there was a behind closed door friendly today, and we beat Everton, I believe. Someone let me know in the chat if we did. I'm pretty sure we beat Everton in a behind the closed door friendly. Maybe that is something to do with fitness or certain individual players. I have no idea. Let's read out some more comments. Dino Lewis says we missed Fred yesterday in a game like that. Yeah, to bring him off of the bench, just to have that tenacious. I agree. I do actually agree with that. Vince is in the chat. Big up to Vince, who's been following us for ages. Absolute legend, saying, who went to the game last night? None of us. I was doing the watch along, so I couldn't go to the game. Treyas and Dan are obviously based in India. Adam's in Ireland. Chivy lives, I can't remember where he lives, but he don't live in Manchester. And then others had kind of like work and stuff, so no one could go to the game, to be honest with you. The United fans sang Onana, what's my name? He didn't look very good last night. I thought Onana was decent.
Yeah.
Very, very good. What was your thoughts on his debut?
I think a lot of people are actually confusing the team's performance with Onana's. Like, as a team, we didn't look great. But if I had to pick out some of our decent performers, Onana would be one of them. I think Wan-Bissaka would be one of them as well. I think arguably Varane definitely would be one of them. I think arguably the better players that we had on the pitch were those three.
Absolutely.
And in comparison to last season, you could see a very, very vivid difference as to how De Gea operates in that goalie position in comparison to what Onana does. I think once this midfield is able to integrate and Lisandro comes back to his own self, which I think will be very soon in the next fixture itself, I think you will be able to see much more out of Onana. Like, one of the things was Onana was playing well, but the Garnacho and Anthony, and I would even argue Bruno, they were just not able to, make those runs that Onana needed to actually pass out from the back. Like, his passing distribution is actually really, really great, and he was doing those sort of movements and those sort of passes every single time he got the ball. But we just didn't have the players in the right position to take those passes at times. So, for him, and this is actually a very, very big thing, for a distributor and a sweeper keeper to work with that sort of passing range, you need your players to be in the right positions to take those passes, especially when you're taking goal kicks, or especially when you're trying to play out from the back. So for him to actually show off his best plays, these players need to step up, especially in the attack. And for a debut, he kept a clean sheet at Old Trafford, so I'll take that as a win for a new goalkeeper coming in.
Yeah, I suppose there's a silver lining. The subs who came off the bench looked relatively decent, didn't they? Plester was okay, had decent bits. Sancho, I thought, was better, was probably the best out of the lot. He looked sharp. I think he needs to start against Tottenham on Saturday. And Eriksen was all right as well, who's still there to give, Mason Mount or Bruno Fernandes food for thought, that competition, which would be nice. Vince is saying Premiership debut, he looked a bit uncomfortable when we was all started to talk. I actually seen him look very worried and start running back to the goal. I thought he was good. Honestly, I disagree. I think he was really, really good, to be honest with you. Was it a penalty, Shreyas?
On any other given day,
honest.
It would have been against us. And yes, it would have been a pen. On any other given day. Any other given day, United, like imagine, we're playing City. Imagine we're playing Arsenal or even a Chelsea or a Liverpool. And this happens. Yeah. It is a 1000% penalty that would be given against us.
Well, I think they've sacked the thingy, haven't they? Whatchamacallit? They've not sacked him, or the guys who were on VAR are not on there this weekend, apparently. So that tells you everything you need to know. I personally didn't. I thought it's not a full goal conclusion that it was a penalty for me. It's clumsy. It is very, very clumsy. But he's watching the ball. You know what it reminded me of? Do you remember when Nani got sent off against Madrid?
Yeah.
You remember that game?
Yeah.
Where the ball was coming over to him, and he was following the ball one air, and he went to control it with his foot. Yeah. And another player was there, and he ended up kicking the player, but obviously he didn't know the player was there. He was just trying to bring the ball down. And I thought it was a similar situation where Onana's trying to catch the ball. You got two clumsy, like defenders who are like 6'5", like trees banging together.
Yeah.
And then he kind of got, in the midst of that, but the ball had already been played. That's why I was like, I don't know. Maybe he was lucky to get away with it. Maybe again, I don't know.
I think the fact and the way that we've seen decisions go last season, especially against us, I think we were genuinely very lucky that it wasn't given against us last night, because the minute that happened, I thought that it was a pen. Like when it happened, I genuinely thought that it was a penalty, and the way things.
So did everybody else.
Yeah, but it is a genuine change that a decision got in our favor. And once again, I don't mind if this thing happens again and we dodge a penalty.
Of course,
you get 3 points. But yes, I think any other given day, it would have been given.
Yeah, I think we had a God on our side yesterday in many elements, let's just say. Sticking with the topic of goalkeeper, Dean Henderson, Shreyas will remain at Manchester United this summer unless a replacement becomes available. He is considered an important member of the group, and even more now that Tom Heaton is injured. What are your thoughts on this?
We are in a big problem. I think one of the worst things that happened was that the Kovar got sold for about, I think, 9 million, 7 million, around that sort of figure to Leverkusen.
I wouldn't have sold him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have sold him.
2 hours after that, like literally 2 hours after that, it gets reported that Heaton's injured.
Eric!
Yeah.
I've hurt my leg.
So, like, if we could, just have called Leverkusen that, we were just joking, we wouldn't sell him for that sort of price. We need, 50 million more or 100 million more to sell him so that they would just back out. I would have done that, because I think Kovar would have been a solid backup option. The way he looked during preseason, and I've seen bits of him in Sparta Praha last season as well. He's a very good keeper who can, I think, go to very, very big heights. And as a second choice goalkeeper, he would have provided me with, I think a very, very stable option in case Onana gets injured. But we sold him. I still believe we could have probably gotten more out of him as a second choice keeper at the club, but we sold him. Heaton got injured, and the one player who we expected who would leave the club and probably provide us with some funding to get some transfers in will now probably have to stay, because you cannot go into the season without having at least 3 keepers. So it is going to be very rough.
Not great, is it?
Because
that's what I mean. Like a couple of days ago, it was Maguire's going, Henderson's going to Forest. We might even end up selling McTominay. Now it's like, well, Maguire's staying, Henderson's staying because Heaton's injured now, and we probably won't sell. West Ham are probably not going to go in for McTominay. Yeah, not great, is it? We could have done with moving them players on and bringing in Onana and Rabat, and I don't even know who else, like a Pavard or someone like that. Apparently, Pavard's going mad at Bayern Munich. He's doing everything he can possibly to. Now the club he's
on his end. He's trying every single thing possible to make this move happen.
Yeah. I don't blame him, to be honest with you. I tried dropping him a cheeky message on Real Red Start just to see if you get a little reply. I thought if he's wilding out, why not drop him a message? Come be vocal, mate. Get on the show and we'll have a chat. Do you think Nottingham Forest is the only option for Dean Henderson? Because I haven't heard of any other clubs. Have you?
Luton Town.
Have they been linked with him though? And also, could they afford him?
One club who could work with the Dean Henderson, I think Luton Town could, because of the back of their first performance, they do need another keeper.
I'm going to start calling them Luton Down, because they are going down, mate. They're not staying in the Prem. Not a chance. Them and Sheffield going right back down.
1000%. Them and Sheffield are going down. It will be a battle between, I think, Everton, Wolves, and those sort of clubs for that third spot.
Potentially. Potentially.
But I think Nottingham Forest, I think they should still move for him. Luton Town can still move for him. But except that, I think none of the top 6 clubs, they've all got their keeper sorted. Then you've got Brighton, but who's Brighton's keeper now? Sanchez?
Good. Oh, no, it's that Van... fucking hell, they bought him, that keeper. Brighton, Varbruggen, is it? Something like that? It's something like that. Someone knows, I think someone knows it. I'll tell you what, Brian Munich, who's in the chat, that's his new nickname for him, Brian Casey. I'm calling him Brian Munich. He knows because of Twitter banter. But Brian Munich will know. Varbruggen or something, I think he's called. So that's who's in net for them now. It will probably end up turning into another £60 million keeper, to be honest.
100%. And But I think, yes, I don't really see any other club. Apart from 2 or 3 clubs right now, I don't see any other club moving in for Dean Henderson, especially if they have to pay 25 million or 20 million for him. Like,
Yeah.
seriously doubt a club would move.
Yeah. Thank you. Like Brian Munich just put it in the chat saying Bart Verbruggen. I went far off. So that's the keeper that they've got at the minute. If he was happy to stay, if he came out and he was like, look, I'll knuckle down. Number two, if I play in the Champions League, get the odd game here and there, I'm happy to do that for one more year, but then I want to go. Would you be like, okay, you happy with that?
In the short term, yes. Because once again, if he is happy to stay here, if he's happy to be that backup keeper for Onana, I think Henderson is still good. Like, he's not a bad keeper. He's a good keeper. But I don't think that he's good enough to challenge Onana for that starting spot. But he is good enough to be a prem keeper and a good solid option if you want to keep him as a backup keeper. As a short term, I think it would work, but I think as a long term, it wouldn't, because on the sort of wages that we've got Dean Henderson on, that are not backup keeper, backup goalkeeper wages that we actually got him on.
Yeah.
So on the long term, sell him, make a profit on him. Maybe if you play him this season and he makes some good appearances or good cameos in Champions Leagues or these cup fixtures, probably what we were hoping to sell him for this season, we can get an extra 10 or 15 million on that. It could still work either way. So if he's happy, go for it. If he's not, then probably work about a different deal, get someone on a loan deal, and work probably to get him out of the club in the winter window.
Yeah, I can't wait for the transfer window to shut, and then Henderson drops a video on his Instagram where he's got like a cage around him, and he's like reaching out, and he's like, "Help! Help! They're keeping me hostage. They're keeping me hostage." Jesus. Aaron's in the chat. Big up to Aaron saying, I think it was a pen in my opinion, but the debates again show there needs to be more consistent on what gets given. A league of their own in a couple of months. It was plenty of shootout, stand up to cancer. Even the Wolves fans was calling them wankers. Okay, fair enough. I didn't like that. I saw Mika Richards and obviously they're doing it for stand up for cancer, which is fantastic. But Jamie Carragher and Mika Richards coming out in City kits and Liverpool kits. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Aaron's Greg was saying, them comments pissed me off too much. You can go. Vince saying, hi, Brian. Hi. Yeah, people chatting in the chat as always. But yeah, look, Manchester United is a continuing roller coaster. It's the 15th of August. The transfer window doesn't shut until the 1st of September. That makes it about 16, 17 days of news, more news and transfers and shock signings and etc. But the one person who's done really, really well this transfer window at covering all things, and if you know, if you've got Twitter, you'll know James from the Muppeteers has been spot on with a lot of stuff. And luckily, he's come on for the 4P, I think you can call it. He's back on tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So we are going to pick his brain about Mason Greenwood, about transfers, about little bits around the takeover, everything that we can to see what he's saying and see. And even with the Maguire situation, we're just going to try to get as much out of him as we possibly can. And, of course, ask him about America as well, because he was involved in certain bits in pre-season, which is nice. So make sure you tune in for that tomorrow. It's always really nice when we have him on. Like I mentioned at the start of the show, we're going to drop the video about 9, 10 o'clock. 5 lessons learned from last night. And like I said, I speak about Rashford as a 9, the midfield situation, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Onana's debut, and the game in general. So if that's something you want to watch, do check that out at 9 o'clock. It's a pre-recorded, edited video. Make sure you drop us a follow on socials. All the handles are at the bottom of your graphic there. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Check it out. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, you are new, you just clicked on this, you're like, what the fuck is this? Hello and welcome. Please do click subscribe and join the community that's growing every single day. We're getting close to 3,100 subs now. So do hit that button. And Shreyas, anything else you want to say? Before we go?
Just make sure to stick around the channel. We are going to be pulling out content every single day, and like Nick mentioned before, we're going to have James back on tomorrow, which will be once again a very fantastic show. So make sure to stick around, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. The push, like Brian says there in the chat, good old Brian Munich is saying the push for 5K is on. Absolutely. That's what's next. Then we go to 10K. Then we go to 100K. Then we take over the planet and we're an army together. There it is. Take care, guys. Thank you as always for tuning in. We appreciate every single one of you. And me and Shreyas will see you tomorrow. Peace.